Today we are here for a founder chat with Michael, the co-founder of Colleva. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell me a little bit about you. Tell me about your background. Why are you in the HR tech space?
A great question. So began my career in finance and the investment side and worked at small companies, worked at large companies, started with me and a person in a room, ultimately managed very large teams. And pretty much no matter what type of organization I was at, no matter what kind of size, I saw the same problems where there was just a lot of unnecessary frictions. And those frictions cost a lot of time and also impacted a lot of productivity. And so my co-founder and I were really focused on figuring out, could we, using AI, really materially impact that whole HR journey from talent acquisition through performance management, all the way through collecting insights for companies at scale, so that we could really remove all of that productivity suck and make something that was really impactful.
I mean, it's a good reason to get into HR tech. I think there's a lot of challenges that we face these days, and I think AI is going to revolutionize the way we do work. You're in the space creating the future of work tech that companies will be using. So I really love that you're trying to solve these kind of challenges, especially around the performance management, company insights and the talent acquisition space all the way through. That journey is so important, and I don't think we've solved that yet. So very interesting to see that you're trying to solve it with AI. So that's where you can tell me a little bit about your product and also why you decided to go with avatars.
Yeah, absolutely. So our goal, there's a lot of AI that's all about pure replacement. Our goal is really about empowerment and helping teams and individuals be their absolute best. And so we thought if there was a way to be able to have face-to-face conversations with AI, where the AI avatar can play the role of a coach, can play the role of someone who's maybe interviewing you, can play the role, do a role play. And let's imagine you have to give feedback and you can practice against that person with that person's persona and that person's objectives and that person's goals. That it was just completely empowering and much more impactful than, say, voice to voice or text to text. It takes it to the next level. And so that's why we decided to go the AI avatar route.
And how are you finding people with the adoption? Are they liking working with avatars? Like, it's such a new thing, right? Like talking to an AI avatar. How are you finding people are working with your product at the moment?
Well, I mean, it's really interesting. I think the initial reaction is, I worked with AI when I was, trying to get an airplane ticket changed, and those little chatbots are absolutely frustrating. How am I possibly going to talk with an AI that looks and sounds like a human? But when they actually try it, and when they hear voices that actually emote, that make you feel emotion, where the faces are realistic, but not so realistic that they become that uncanny valley. And we've had people where a conversation is supposed to take 5 minutes in a role play, and it takes 25 minutes because they're just really opening up. Quite frankly, you're able to collect insights because it feels like a safe space that you would never be able to do, human to human, where there's so much baggage that comes with those type of normal conversations.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I have to think about how I would feel about an AI interview. I think I would really enjoy it, to be honest, because working alone, I would love to have someone to bounce ideas off, and I'm always talking to ChatGPT or trying to have this interactive back and forward. And I think despite it being kind of a new thing, it's also, I think once you get used to it, it's quite cool. So I'm excited to hear that people, they get past the reservations and they start to, really see the benefits of these tools. What do you think the biggest benefit is for the human side of things? Because people are a bit fearful of, AI, and we lose the human part of work, and we lose that kind of connection. What do you say against these kind of, I guess, perspectives?
I think the main benefit of being able to talk with AI, because again, it's not meant to replace human to human conversations. It's meant to supplement. So for example, let's imagine you've been coached on a way to approach a conversation. Well, how do you get that reinforcement? How do you get the reps in normally? The answer is you just don't. So
Yeah.
really what this does is it enables. Or let's imagine, so when I was at a very big firm and I was senior, I got access to executive coaching. My coach was amazing, but no one else on my team got access to the coach
Hmm.
because she was $1,000 an hour. So
Yeah.
it's enabling. Same thing on the talent acquisition side. At that same firm, I would literally spend, you know, 5 seconds going through 600 resumes each. And why did I spend 5 seconds versus 5 minutes on each resume? Because I had to stack this high. And so it was
Yeah.
literally impossible. If you could use AI to create better outcomes and use AI to, again, I've used this word probably too many times, but to empower people and do it in a place where it's consistent and feels safe, then there's an obvious value proposition for everyone involved. And I think that's very important, that the benefit shouldn't just be for HR, it should be for the professionals, it should be for the candidates. And that's what that face-to-face conversation enables.
I think you're right. It's the reps, it's the practice. You don't get that in day to day. Sometimes you don't get that at all, especially if you're not in the right positions to get access to those kind of conversations. And so, how do you actually learn? And this enables learning, enables access, and it also enables us to be better at being human, and at having better skills to use with one another. And
And
that can only, in my opinion, can only benefit business and us as like humans, and keeping also improving EQ, learning how to really interact with people and practicing that
yeah,
is really important.
I'll give you another example. So we worked with a company where they were trying to make sure their employees were heard. And how do you do that normally? You do a survey that basically everyone puts threes down the line because they know they're not actually heard, or
Hmm.
do your avatars have face-to-face conversations with everyone at the firm to understand what they do,
Hmm.
to do a skill assessment to understand where their gaps are, to then provide personalized learning programs for everyone at the organization. I mean, that literally just doesn't happen, without the ability, the enablement of having these conversations. And so, again, it just done the right way. AI has great benefit, but it has to be done the right way. And I think these avatars, even though they're not human, they do humanize and they
Hmm.
provide you access and scale that you wouldn't normally get otherwise.
Wow, that's really cool. I love what you just said about that. You can, everyone can be interviewed about their skills, and then you get skills assessment and skills gap information, and then you can have like development from that. That is just like, could you imagine at the moment where like, you pay consultants to go around and do all the interviews, and you pay hundreds of thousands sometimes for these things, depending on the size of your company. And I haven't really seen these things being done well, if I'm honest. So the fact that you said that, an avatar can just like at scale go out to everyone in the business, ask these questions, and you get those insights very, very quickly, I think is game changing.
We've had honestly great feedback from it. And I think part of it is there's still the human in the loop. And actually, that's a very important part for us personally, whether it is talent acquisition or sales and learning development or these insights. The humans run the show. The company defines what questions should be asked. If it's a skill assessment, it defines what every level looks like. The AI just becomes the mechanism to enable those conversations and becomes the pattern matching that helps take the transcripts in essence of what was said against the metrics or the objectives that the organization and the individuals care about. And so I think that's also makes it less scary, quite frankly, when you know that it is human led. I think that's a real important focus of Colleva and how we approach things and why our partners like working with us.
I love that you are so human centric in how you design your product. I think it's something that sometimes gets missed. I see a lot of tech these days. And what I love to hear is, founders that really understand the importance of how the human fits into the AI, and how it's actually, like you said, it improves humans, and it gives them, the extra bit that they need, but it doesn't take over and it doesn't replace, entirely. So I really like that approach, and it perfectly fits what you're trying to do. You're Colleva, the name even, collecting and evaluating, this just enables that at scale. And I just think that's really, really underdone in business because it's just not possible with people, right? It's just not possible without a lot of investment and time. So now this just makes it even easier. I'm so glad we had this chat. I hope everyone listening has, really understood what's possible. It's just, for me, it's mind-boggling what we can do now comparatively even to 5 years ago. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing, about you, about your background, and about what you're trying to build and how you're trying to shape the future of HR.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure.